Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hyrule Chronicles, The Legend of Zelda Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign. I am Articulate T, this is episode 86, and with me today, as always, I have Renji Vox being played by the Netherlad.
Hello.
I have Hikan Sio being played by Avrdal.
Hello.
I have Zayden Shari being played by Rubber Pirate. And I have Max being played by Keystruth.
Hi.
So, friends, what happened last time?
Well, last time, the Storm's Eye made their way through Tolkien's Tower, encountering several of the wizrobe's experiments on the way up, as well as a captured Renji Vox, or Renji's dad. He is severely weakened, but Hikan's skill in removing poison and some nourishing long milk later, he is somewhat reinvigorated. In this state, he is unable to render assistance, however, so they leave some weaponry to defend himself in case of anything before they move on. Another floor higher, they find the likely results of Torquin's latest experiment and several of his journals. And then another floor above that, they finally find the wizrobe himself. He attempts to talk to the group to persuade them, but the Storm's Eye will not have it. There is a protective barrier around him, so a direct attack doesn't immediately work, sadly. And then Torquin uses this opportunity to pull the Storm's Eye into a personally made demiplane. Torquin is a slippery foe, being able to teleport at will and using his demiplane to switch places with others, or having the floor restrain his enemies. However, with the Storm's Eye's combined strength, even the powerful wizrobe proves to be no match. With the death of Torquin, his tower starts to crumble, and the Storm's Eye quickly leaves before they would be buried in rubble. Meeting up with Mara, they finally take a well-deserved rest on the side of the Death Mountain Range. I believe that is where we left off.
Yes, that is indeed where
I believe we
left off.
burned out mid burning Tolkien's body to ash.
Oh, yes. That is a significant thing. Yes, I did forget about that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only records left of Torquin are his journals in someone's bags at the moment.
I
Correct.
believe they're in Renji's.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Keep all of them just in case.
Yeah, Max didn't seem interested in
No.
in that for some reason.
Some strange
For
reason.
some vengeance-flavored reason.
Yep.
Yes. And so we return to our erstwhile companions. Currently catching their breath as they sit beside the pyre that reduces what was left of Torquin to naught but ash. A column of smoke rising into the mid-afternoon sky. Among your group, as you have mentioned, you have Mara, who had recently seen the a collection of Gorons come and pick up the detained Maximus and take him back to Goron City, as well as Renji Vox, former bodyguard of Princess Sophitia, who is now not in 100% shape. So, with the scene set, as you've all taken at least a little bit of time just to collect your thoughts and regain some form of strength, what is it that you do?
I think I am going to be reading through one random journal of Torquin to kind of like see what he's been working on, what his thoughts were. If there's any connection to the now defunct Twilight Cartel that might shed some light on their inner workings.
Okay.
That's mostly what I'm focusing on.
My first question is, in this moment, do you intend to skim over as much as possible or everything, or do you just want to pick up one, read it, and then deal with the rest at a different date?
Just pick up the one.
Okay. Roll for me a D100.
Okay, interesting. Roll D100. 82.
Okay. The journal you pick up, interestingly enough, seems to be one of the older ones. It's written, it seems to be one of the thicker ones too, one of the ones that he clearly started and then in a similar train of thought didn't have enough pages in the book to continue and thus added loose scraps of paper to add to its volume. It's difficult to get it open, or like it's more difficult than you would expect to open a book, but it's difficult to get it open just for the sake of trying to keep everything together and not have things kind of like fly off or fly into the pyre and be lost forever. One of the things that you encounter in this is that it describes the acquisition of a certain individual.
Okay.
Supposedly, a young boy that had been acquired in less than legal means had been added to Torquin's inventory. He makes mention that what he's after as part of his larger experiments is trying to find individuals who are magically inclined, which for the most part tells you that is possibly a reason why he wanted Sophitia, because everyone knows the royal family is magically inclined. He then goes on to mention, he doesn't mention too much afterwards about that, but for the next couple of chapters, let's say, he goes on to describe events in which he had acquired genetic material from a beast that calls itself Kriegstrom. And he talks about it, describing that it currently dwells within the north of the continent. And it's only until you get to the end where he tells you, or writes in the book, that the actual what Kriegstrom is an ancient blue dragon.
All right. And I've heard this name before, correct?
I believe you might have,
We all
yes.
have.
Yeah.
I was busy telling stories.
I sort of mentioned it to you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Kriegstrom is the name of an individual or another dragon that Tundranax
Yes,
had made mention of.
that's correct. Okay. All right.
Yeah, the rest of the journal, for the most part, talks about the theoretical applications of applying genetic material from a dragon to a person who is already magically inclined in some way, shape, or form. Though it appears that whatever actual details of the progress of such experimentation have been found in a different book.
Does it show that he's a different book that he's written or that he's read?
It's not so much like given directions. It's like he's run out of, on the last couple of pages he notes that he's running out of pages. The way he writes is very bizarre. It's like it's as if he's writing as if he's talking aloud and having a conversation with himself.
Stream of consciousness.
Yeah. And he's kind of noting down that he's basically running out of pages, And the
Okay.
more he's added that, it's going to get too ridiculous at this point. So he's going to leave the actual experimentation to the next journal.
Okay.
But he
Right.
doesn't know what that's going to be or what
Okay,
it will
well,
look
that
like.
is something to that's something to research then. Okay. After leafing through this journal, I will put it back into my bag. Glance over at the others who are taking their own rest at this time.
What's everybody else doing?
Max has a fire to stare at.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he never picked up his clothes from the tower,
Oh my.
so he's still shirtless.
Good thing there's a fire going.
Yeah.
Good thing indeed.
And he's also warmed by, the delicious
Yeah.
revenge he just had.
Yeah.
An adrenaline rush.
I thought revenge was a dish best served cold.
That isn't actually true. It's
Huh.
actually quite nice when it's piping hot.
Okay, I thought it was like revenge's ice cream.
No.
No, no.
It's not only ice cream, it can come in many kinds.
Okay,
Yeah.
it comes in many flavors of ice cream. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
And also
Another suggestion: revenge is soup.
and also chicken.
Yeah.
Pizza, hot, cold, it works.
All right.
What? Yeah. After a little bit, as Hikan's kind of sitting there, looking around, keeping an eye out for things, waiting for people to finish, so he can pick Nihilus back up and start walking back towards Goron City with the group. It will register now that everything's kind of calmed down that Max does not have clothes, and
He has trousers.
He has trousers, just no shirt.
And a gauntlet.
Max is dressed as the Hulk.
Yeah,
but
the Hulk with the Infinity Gauntlet.
I will go ahead and take off my cloak of protection and offer it to Max.
He just shakes his head, like seeing you do that at the corner of his eye.
Oui.
And just continues watching the fire.
Yeah, keep it full just in case.
Zayden, what are you doing during this time?
Not really sure there is anything to do right now. Does Nihilus look okay?
Nihilus he's conscious and he's just kind of sitting by a rock as he gets his bearings a little bit.
We shall offer Nihilus a good berry.
That's a pretty good berry.
Oh, thank you. He lightly takes the good berry and noms on it.
I was thinking, I'm not really sure when he's last had the opportunity to eat.
Give me a medicine check.
Yep. A nice 27.
Okay, with a 27, you can see that the man has certain signs of being underfed, and having spent languishing more or less motionless for a fairly decent amount of time. Most of the there's just signs that he's basically been idle and hardly eating for too long. And it's but he's not like on death's door, as it were. He's just he's tired and sore all over.
Oh, that's right. He's got some food, and he can gradually recover. We keep an eye on him as we journey back. Actually, wait. I will ask him. Nihilus, were you
Yes.
able to find anything about the princess?
Not that I could see. There was complications on the way. We had journeyed through the mine, the same one you did, before they sealed it up. Before we even got to this point, though, something had taken me by surprise, I think. Knocked me unconscious. Do not know what happened to the 2 others that were with me on our expedition. But the next time I woke up, I was in the tower.
Yes, I exchange glances with Zayden.
I don't know, glance back.
Like, wiggle my eyebrows like, are you gonna tell him?
No.
Oh.
You have very articulate eyebrows.
I also have telepathy.
That's fair.
You're just there wiggling your eyebrows, trying to gesture, and Zayden just speaks on your lines. No.
Nihilus finds he is
Come
too tired to ask questions about what's going on, but
He has a high insight, I think.
Learn that stuff when he's not near on death.
Before the fire goes out, Max is gonna reach into his bag and pull out the those terrible decrepit rags that he still has, which he has had since he escaped the tower. And he's gonna chuck them onto the fire.
Okay.
yay.
I see this happening. Glance over at Max. Are you thinking of an outfit change?
Maybe.
Know some good tailors in the city.
For now, we will pull out the cold weather coat that he still has from Snow Peak and put that on.
Yay.
It will be a pain in the ass when we actually get into Death Mountain, but you know.
Mara will look to Nihilus. Says, so while you were in the tower, did you happen to find or know or understand anything that was going on? I'm sorry that too many questions while you're still tired, I know, but Nihilus kind of shakes his head and says, I did not learn anything other than my ungracious host was that, if it were more of an understatement than it needed to be. Kept asking me questions about where the princess was, and was not entirely satisfied when I told him that I did not know. Used to give him anything else.
We tried scrying on the princess. We saw her escaping at the tower.
Yes,
Also, like, GM, do I
Yeah.
remember? Like, have we now an image like this is definitely the tower that we got out of?
Yeah, like especially for Zayden, since Zayden was the one who saw it through the scry. That was definitely the tower. Perhaps a tiny bit different considering the hole that was blown out the side of it, but
Really?
Yeah, the way when you scried on Sophitia the first time, that was before the two parties ventured in different directions. So that was like a couple
Yes.
weeks ago.
Okay.
What you do remember, however, is that she was heading south.
Okay. Perhaps we'll figure out more clues in, I don't know, settlement near Lake Hylia.
That might be a wise decision. Kind of like looks left to right. Says, I do not know where my companions have gotten to, but it is plain that I am in no condition in order to continue the search. I need to get back to Kakariko in order to rest and confer with Zelish what the next move is. And considering the ordeal that you have all gone through, I am loath to ask you for yet another thing, but I ask you to...
You want to piggyback, right?
I was going to ask if you could continue looking for the princess.
Oh.
But I would not object to a shoulder to lean on the way back to Goron City at the very least.
I can carry you pretty comfortably.
Thank you.
There is something else that we need to figure out, because I do believe we know the remaining location of your companions.
Oh?
It appears that they are sadly taken by some sort of magical or naturally freezing effect, and I do not know if we can recover them alive.
Kind of just like looks down.
They're frozen solid.
I do remember from the reports that the one who took the princess was in wielder of ice magic, so it would not surprise me if they were present here.
We have the white Max, right?
He was taken by the Gorons.
He was taken by the Gorons. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay. I do mention this to Nihilus, saying that he is in Goron's custody.
Very well. If I can, at the very least, receive some aid in getting back to Goron City, I can rest for half a day and then talk to this spellcaster and see what
That
they
might be tricky.
How so?
They seem like their mental capabilities are hampered.
Of course. That is the case, then there is no other option. If the Gorons are willing to keep a hold of him for a time, I will at least get back to Kakariko so that a contingent of Hylian guards and other capable individuals might be able to venture to Death Mountain and take custody of him.
So, a outer character thing.
Mhm.
Just in my previous considerations of potentially helping repair his mind, I just found out that the spell Heal can cure the spell Feeble Mind. I don't know if that would apply as well.
Oh.
Potentially. It might require you to examine him in person with a medicine check to see if that would work.
Oh,
I only
heading
say
back
that
there,
because
aren't
I only say that because with the feeble mind, a feeble mind spell would be different from an actual physical lobotomy.
we? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Regenerate almost certainly would do it, but
Yeah.
that's like 2 whole levels away.
Oof.
Yeah.
No one can live at that speed.
Are
Alright,
we?
well, we're not doing much here then, so.
I forget, where were the 2 people in ice?
They were
Uh,
in the cavern just below.
Yeah. They're in the mine.
Somewhere past the giant pile of skeletons.
Yes, from this side.
Should we try and get them out?
Might as well. We'll just try to get to Death Mountain and see if we can move them or gain some assistance from nearby Gorons.
Yeah.
I might be able to persuade them to help.
Okay.
With my
I mean,
plus 13. Ha ha ha.
I mean, I don't know Gorons very well, but I'm fairly confident they'll just say yes anyway because they're friendly guys.
They are a race of bros.
Yeah.
They are.
You just go to them,
Right.
hey, bro, can you lift something for me?
Yeah, what you need lifted? Something heavy or like your spirits? Because you're pretty fucking awesome, dude.
I only got expertise this level. Please don't ruin this for me.
That's alright. It's okay.
It's fine. It's a good joke.
Oh dear. Alright. So, as the last of the embers of the pyre burn out, the plan is made to, at the very least, return to Goron City upon Death Mountain, to beseech the Gorons for a little further aid, as well as maybe helping move a couple of frozen bodies.
I just hope we can fast travel after this.
Technically, we can.
I was gonna say Zayden, can we?
As long as there's plants.
Can you look around and see if you maybe can find a
Single
large
tree.
or larger inanimate plant
I don't
nearby?
think there's trees in Death Mountain.
Give
Do you have
me
like a spyglass?
There are plants of some variety, but well, there are some plants of some variety on Death Mountain. But if I would like a fairly easy survival roll to see whether or not you find a suitable plant within appropriate distance, 27 is good enough. It takes a bit of wandering, it takes a bit of doing, but you do manage to find some suitably sized shrubbery and other plant life within reasonable distance that you could potentially go through in order to get to the other side and inside Death Mountain. The thing that kind of stops you, however, when you realize this, is that the only plant life of abundance within Goron City that you remember are bomb plants.
It's fine.
It's
It's definitely fine.
fine.
We don't have the fire mechs with us, it's okay.
Because they are technically flora, they just explode violently as all.
Well, here's the thing.
So it's
I
the
don't
flora-
have to touch the bomb plant to create the portal in it.
That's true.
So you
That
just have
is
to be
true.
very careful that you don't knock your head against the edge of the portal.
I'm sure
So what
that'll
you're
be fine for
saying-
Max.
This is the floral version of Thunderstep.
Yeah.
All you tall people are gonna have to look out.
Yeah, Max and Mara
Admittedly,
are
I don't
fine.
have that
You guys
currently
are-
attuned, so that will have to be
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Walking for now.
We're walking in the woods.
Is the rope still set
There's
up
no
for
one
the cave?
around, and my phone is
Yeah.
dead.
The rope is still set up at the
The
cave.
ladder.
Yeah.
Ladder, isn't it?
Yeah. You
Max will go down first.
Hmm.
Once the fire's done.
Yeah. You shimmy your way down the rope ladder, and you find yourself back within the cave, atop of the pile of bones, there are no sounds, excuse me, around you except for perhaps the occasional chirp of something far off in the distance. I would assume that your natural nature, as well as having gone through caves at least once or twice within this adventure, could tell you that it's probably a keys.
Eldritch
I shall
blast.
remain unconcerned about it and wait for everyone else to get down.
Yeah. So each of you managed to get down the rope ladder fairly easily.
I will go last. We'll tell Nihilus to hold on tight, and then I will unhook the step ladder and you slow fall on the way down.
Fair enough. So you masterfully managed to get your hampered companion down safely, and you return into the cave. Having been through it at least once before, it doesn't take much wandering to make your way back to Goron City. Though, if you wanted to stop off, did you want to stop off and pick up the bodies first, or did you want to get Gorons first and come back?
Yes.
Which one? Those two options.
I know.
Which one first, though?
Mm.
We can only
either
carry
of the
so
two.
much. We can only carry so much.
I know.
And Zidon can't help right now.
No.
I can help. Why can't I help?
You have
Not
wild
Zidon.
shapes?
Nihilus.
Yeah.
No, that's it. I'm awake.
No worries.
It's
I'm fairly
okay.
confident I could turn into something big enough to carry it, but I don't know if that would fit through the tunnels.
Earth elemental. You don't have to fit.
True.
We'll make it fit.
In which case, Zidon will take upon the form of Earth to carry these two bodies.
Okay. You slink into the side passage and pluck the two bodies from their frozen tomb. It's a little bit of careful maneuvering, just to not make sure that they don't snap in twain upon pulling them free from the ground that they are frozen solid to. But you managed to get it sorted fairly easily. You take some time to venture back to Goron City and Death Mountain. By the time you return, it's probably about early to mid-evening. And as you kind of emerge from the caves, you see that there is a troop of Gorons who are kind of standing there with pickaxes and drill spears and all the different types of Goron mining tools that they have on hand. But when they see the lot of you emerge from the cave, they all just kind of relax a bit and it's like, oh, okay, all right.
We're here.
We heard a rumbling noise. We thought we'd just, it's fine. Back to work! And it's like, just, there's a kind of a groan, before everyone just departs slowly in all directions to get back to mining.
They wanted a fight.
They wanted a break. It's like, oh dear. But yeah, you, once back in Goron City, you make your way, well, where exactly do you tend to head in Goron City?
I would like to ask where the Gorons that took the other guy went, if they came this way.
Oh, one of the Goron miners turns around and says, "Oh, they took him to the jail. It's just a couple levels up to the left."
I'll immediately head that way.
Okay.
And could you direct me to a healer?
A healer? Oh,
What? I don't really think that we could do much else in regards to healing. I think Nihilus needs rest.
Yeah, but still, some supervision might be a good idea when when he does take that rest?
Oh, well, there's a first aid guy just by the entrance to the mine. But if you want actual proper healing, there's a chirurgeon 3 floors up to the right. Then you go up another floor, and then it's there. You'll be able to see it.
Sure, thank you. I think that might be a good idea to get Nihilus a room, if not with the chirurgeon, then at least while notifying the chirurgeon that this man has undergone some traumatic experiences.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just kind of like as this conversation has been had, Mara just kind of looks off in the direction that Max is advancing towards and says, I'm not going to interrupt his thing, but I want to at least go make sure he's not alone doing this, just in case.
It's actually a good idea, yeah. I'll try and catch up after I've made sure Nihilus is alright.
Okay. Mara kind of hurries after Max. For the rest of you, make your way to the directed to the chirurgeon's office, which is quite the journey through Goron City. The
3 floors up, stairs to the right, then
yeah.
another up.
Yeah. We'll start with that one, I think. You arrive at what appears to be a very long cave room. It's very well maintained. There's a variety of different kind of stone slabs that would indicate, judging by Goron sleeping on them, that these are essentially hospital beds. There is at the other end of the room a couple of other Gorons just kind of with like satchel bags over their shoulders, and they're kind of like going through shelves of material that they can use that are like medicinal kind of ointments and tools, as one would expect from a society of people that are primarily made up of rocks. There's also different things that you would kind of equate to like masonry tools, like chisels and hammers and stuff. But there's one fella who is kind of sitting at a makeshift desk at the other end. Seems like a much older Goron. The rocky beard that he has kind of extends for a fair distance past his chin, and he's got like a pair of pince-nez just hanging on his nose as he's kind of looking over a few documents. As you enter, he looks at him and says, "Eh? Oh, hello. All right. Excellent.
Good.
He just pushes
Good day to
himself
you.
from the decks. Welcome. Excuse me. Sorry, I haven't stood up in hours. I need a good stretch. All right. Who am I helping today?
I probably will have like one arm.
Still carrying Nihilus.
Oh, you're carrying Nihilus. Okay, yeah. Then I just like point a thumb at my dad. Like, this guy's we've managed to rescue him from some. Yeah, it was a kidnapping situation.
Oh, how dreadful.
Indeed, he's had a rough time of it. We did the best we could, but it might be a good idea to have him get some rest under surveillance.
I suppose that would be a good idea. Please, carry him over. He kind of like gestures vaguely to one of the many empty beds. He's like, just carry him over here. Prop him up on the bed if you would. Just, much better. Right. Just kind of stomps over. And as you kind of like lay him down on one of these slabs. The Goron doctor will just kind of like examine him briefly. He does the whole kind of like just goes into the whole kind of like picks up the arm, pulls it straight, puts it back down, looks to Nihilus, kind of like opens his eyes a bit wider to examine, and then kind of opens his mouth. Is like, yes. And Nihilus looks very uncomfortable in this entire exchange, but it like pulls back and says, yes, well, so, sir, how is it, your kidnapping, you say? Yes. And I was like, yes, I haven't eaten much well, I've had a good berry. And it's like, good berries, yes, I had a druid friend once, was very fond of them.
I'll offer him a good berry.
Thank you. He takes a good berry. Now then.
I'm almost expected this Goron to like, I see what the problem is. You're a Sheikah.
No, he's not that out of touch. But oh dear, it's like just says yes. Well, the good berry has would have given you at least a day's nutrition, but coming back from malnourishment is something that cannot be satisfied with a single meal. He kind of wanders over to a shelf and picks up what looks to be like a jug of clear liquid, and he brings that back over and says, we'll need to make sure that you're drinking at least a couple of these glasses, or a couple of glasses of this for a little while.
Strangely concerned how he didn't say glasses of water, it's just glasses of this.
It is water, though.
Yes.
Yeah. And,
dihydrogen monoxide.
It's definitely water. Definitely water.
And he kind of like looks over and says, were you particularly active during your kidnapping? And Niles just kind of like slowly shakes his head and is like, well, yes, oddly enough, excessive bed rest is not exactly going to be solved with more bed rest. Tell you what, we'll keep an eye on him for now, and then we'll start to get him moving again after he has just had a little bit of physical therapy, I think. Nothing too intrusive, mind. And the no, it's just like good. Right. If I could just have a brief moment, and oh yes, of course, absolutely. I need to tend to other matters real quick and get some paperwork ready. If I'll just leave you be. And the doctor kind of totters off to deal with something else, and it's just kind of heaves a sigh. It's like, thank you for carrying me here.
No problem.
And I apologize for my prior imposition.
Not something you could have done anything about.
No, but this was precisely the situation that I had been trained for, and the first time it ever comes up, I fail.
These are extraordinary circumstances.
Even still, I do not know what exactly is going on for all of this to happen so suddenly. There's everything has just gone very, very quickly. I mean, what is it now? 4 things? 5? There was a cult.
It is a cult.
There is a cult. There's a black market thing that controlled almost everything. The king has been assassinated. There's all of that just came to light within the span of a day. And
As I
I
said,
just,
extraordinary circumstances.
but
You have been trained to deal with any sort of situation. That does not mean that you've been trained to deal with every sort of situation at the same time. This feels very weird, but don't beat yourself up. No one could have done any better in your circumstances. Sometimes you just get an unlucky break.
I appreciate the words, Renji, but I took up a duty. I spent so much my time and effort making sure I was ready. And now, as powerful as she may be, a 14-year-old girl is out in the world alone and dangerous and scared. And I'm sending my beloved son that I have not spent enough time with to go and find her.
Renji is not happy to hear that. And he's trying very hard to keep all of that off of his face.
Pickpop would like to give a mental nudge to Zayden, asking, is this a good time to give them a moment?
Zayden will put a hand on your shoulder and just casually walk out.
Yep.
Oh no.
On the way out, we will tell the forgot the word you used for him, but the doctor, they still need him. And
Yeah.
Urgent?
yeah, I think that's it. Encouraging, yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
He just kind of like sees you guys walk out and is like, "Oh, get." He just kind of like waves and nods a bit and goes back to his work.
There's just a mess of thoughts and emotions going through Renji as Nihilus articulates what like Renji's been fussing and fretting and worrying and stewing over. And it just makes him that much more angry that he verbalizes that. This is not the time for emotional reflection, he says. There's a mission, and it's not complete yet. And just kind of falters. There was a moment when I was traveling here, and the thing about that was I was wondering what I should say when I found you. I was wondering what I should say if I found you. And there's, the whole rigmarole of the code phrases and the responses, and what we did, do you know what I thought of to make sure that it was you that we found?
What?
And I didn't use it because it was going to be too painful, too hurtful, too spiteful. The question I was going to ask to make sure that it was you was, why do I hate you? Truth is, can't say that I do, but there is a spite inside me. Because as you so adequately verbalize, you have taken up a duty, and that has been standing in the way of other things your entire life. And I sincerely have the impression that I was not part of your plan. So you would just have to have taken me to Hyrule Castletown to make sure you could do your duty. And hopefully I would grow up and become another paragon of Chica, virtue, and duty, and honor, and all those other virtues that so wonderfully espouse. And so I took up some other things. I took up a sword, I took up a shield, I took up a book. You've given me plenty of opportunity to develop, to make my own mistakes. So now I am traveling with this group, trying to do some good in the world, I suppose. And I'm even trying to get rid of this whole magical thing. But after I've done that, if I manage to do that, then what am I? The only thing that gives me value is the reason that Grandmaster Zelish has had a mental breakdown. Bad, isn't it? I feel for you to have me as a son.
Renji. There is no possible way in which I could hate you. When I found out what had happened, I was scared. I reacted terribly. More than anything, I simply want you to have had I simply wanted you to have lived a life that you wanted to, and I had done a terrible job of conveying that message. But for all that you have done, cannot say that I have not watched you grow up with a profound sense of pride in my heart. I will not admonish you if you hate me, or that I have done a terrible job, and I am deserving of that scorn. But I cannot lie that, as proud of you as I am of you doing all of this, and for the benefit of other people no less, I cannot say that I have not lost that fear as a father. I am unsure what else that I can say, but know that I do love you, son. I just beg of you, please be careful. He kind of like looks down a bit. He has a very hard time actually meeting your your gaze, and
I don't think we've had eye contact for the last few minutes.
Yeah. After enough of a pause, he says, "When I have rested a bit more, I feel like I will be able to venture back down Death Mountain, get to Kakariko, speak with Elish, then rest for a time. I was going to go back to Hyrule Castle Town to check in the situation there, but I
shake my head as he says that. You need to stay in Kakariko for at least a while. You need to be there for yourself. And if not for yourself, then for my mom."
You're right. When I get to Kakariko, I'll send a runner. He just kind of like folds his arms a bit. Says, I do not mean to take up any more of your time. If you need to rejoin your companions, then I will not
That's out
stop.
a sigh. I'm going to have to roll something. He's going to sigh, and as Renji looks at Nihilus, trying to meet his gaze. It's an irrational thing, but you are my dad. Despite the negative I feel, and I won't say that this has taken it away. I do love you as well. gets up, quickly leaves.
You your way outside to meet with the other two.
Before I find them, I just quickly take a short, quick, deep breath and look over at the two of them. It's like, okay, so we've discussed some things of a future nature. I think we need to get to Max.
Yeah, wonderful. We were just
Nothing
discussing
happened.
rocks.
I didn't know there were so many different kinds of rocks.
Oh yeah, have you been talking to Gorons? Because I'm sure they can tell you what any kind of rock in here is.
Probably. But yeah, if you guys want to go check on Max to see how he's doing, that's cool. I think I'm gonna go let Darunia know what happened, since we told him we'd update him.
Okay. I shall go check on Max.
Okay.
What kind of overalls do Gorons wear?
None.
Minerals!
Fuck's sake.
Thank you to Stomkunst for figuring that one out for me.
Oh no. Okay, so
Renji gets smote by pun damage.
Adding to the counter.
Adding to the counter. So, as that has happened, we rejoin Max. Mara has caught up to you, but she expresses that she knows that the situation is probably going to be fairly tense, so she's more than happy to wait outside while you have this conversation if you wanted to.
Let's her decide. Because he has no idea where this is going to go.
Yeah. So she just kind of nods a bit and says, "Okay, well, I'll be in the room, but I'll be by the door." And you head inside. Goron Jail is a very interesting scenario. It's basically a collection of pits, like just holes that people are lowered into. They're not like thrown in. They treat the prisoners appropriately in that sense that they just kind of draw and put and like lower them into a hole and then just kind of clamber back out, so that at the very least it's not inhumane. And there is like a jail grate that is kind of put on top of that hole to keep them in there. It's difficult to kind of justify windows when it's in the middle of a mountain. But yeah. The Gorons, the Goron jailer, fairly like even by Goron standards, big. Was just going to kind of when you explain why you're there, he kind of quietly nods and leads you over
Max
to.
explain why he's there by saying, "I'm going to talk to the person you just brought in. He looks just like me."
Right. And he just kind of like gets up, leads you towards the appropriate pit, and then kind of just doesn't open anything. You can see quite clearly down into the pit there is Maximus, who is still bound, not gagged anymore, but he kind of just very slowly looks up at you with the apathetic look that he has always seemed to have.
Kneel down by the edge. Darkwind's dead.
Okay.
Figured you should know.
Kind of like nods a little. There's a look of recognition that he understands, but no emotional response.
I don't think I can help you out of this situation. I'm sorry.
It keeps staring at you. Yeah. Yeah, and there is a look of that he understands, but nothing much else. Just kind of keeps looking.
Not really knowing what else to say, because Max is also not good at emotions at all.
Mm.
He's gonna stand up, nod to the jailer, and leave.
Okay. Nods. Mara follows you out as the jailer goes back to the seat that he was sitting in. As you emerge, the short session with which you have talked to Maximus has afforded you a bit more time. Is there anything you wanted to do before meeting up with the rest of your companions?
Can't think of anything.
Okay. Alright. So, as you and Mara make your way to see if you can catch up with the others, Khan, you arrived at the door of Darunia, and you stand upon the carpet once more, and after a brief moment of clarification, the stone slab that functions as his door shifts to the side, and heading in, you see Darunia, who is kind of just looking over more maps of the general area. He looks over to you and smiles, his big Goron smile, and says, "Ah, it's you!
Yeah.
Your
And,
friends okay?"
For the sake of brevity, I'll fill in Darunia the best way that Hikan knows how to, with very long stories and pauses every about fifth word. As
For
he's
some reason,
kind
I
of
hoped
thinking
you were about to say with interpretive dance.
Unfortunately, it's just I will use my performance for proficiency someday, but not today. I will also explain that if they decide to open up mining back in that area after the bones and stuff is there, to maybe be on the lookout for tower parts, because the earth kind of swallowed it.
Ah, well, that's interesting. But by all means, we'll keep an eye out. Thank you for taking care of it, by the way. It's, I know that you were there for your own business, but, your efforts have made the general area a lot safer. We heard that one of the, that spellcasting guy had been brought back in. That was, well, he'd been brought in the first place. We never had him to begin with, but the, yeah, that was good of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I will pass the thanks along, because I'm not the one that did that or stuff. So, I think a couple of our buddies want to try to help him. So, because he kind of got stuff messed up with his head.
Oh.
So it's I don't have all of the words to explain it, because it was like a little while ago that we talked about it. But we think that we can help him, if not now, eventually.
Okay. Well, unless there is a specific request from Hyrule Castle, by all means, he'll be staying here for at least for the duration.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Well, again, thank you for your efforts. We, Is there anything else that we can do to help you, by any means? Anything that you can think of that we might be able to do to help out in any way? Because this is the second time you guys have helped us, by the way.
I am not the one to ask that question of. Well, we can. Well, I could pass the message along because I think everyone kind of wants to rest right now. And then if there is anything, we could probably stop by in the morning, and ask. As for me personally, though, you wouldn't happen to have any spare holy items, would you?
Holy items?
Yeah.
Well, by what magnitude are you looking for?
I don't know.
Nothing crosses my mind. Most of the stuff that we have that's usually holy is gonna be in the fire temple, but that's in the middle of the volcano, and I don't think any of you are capable of surviving that, and also they are still holy items.
I am.
Man, if only there was like a special kind of shirt or something that someone could put on and walk through the middle of the volcano. That'd be kind of neat.
Well, they are working on something like that, but it's a difficult situation as well. Just for clarity's sake, he kind of leans in a bit. Says, we want to make sure that the fire temple is as undisturbed as possible, considering what's in there.
I don't look at Darunia conspiratorially and go, I understand.
He does not understand.
No, I understand.
Okay. Okay.
All right, well, good. But in any respect, we'll at the very least put you guys up for the night.
Thank you.
So don't worry about your inn fare. We'll take care of it. In the meantime, though, if you do manage to think of anything, feel free to let us know. We'll do what we can in order to help you out.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And I will take my leave of Darunia.
Okay. And so you all collectively manage to regroup. You have been offered at least some free time within the local inn. Is there anything else you guys needed to or wanted to do before having a rest, if you intend to have a rest?
Personally, I'm feeling peachy keen because short rests for the win, but maybe some
imagine
long
what that
rest.
would be like.
I mean, if you want to keep on short rest, that's fine. You'll run out of hit dice eventually.
That is true. That I do have only 6
Imagine
of
getting
11.
things back on short rest.
I can imagine that, yes.
Imagine.
But I do not begrudge anyone else their night's rest. And given what Renji's been going through, some rest will just do him good on an emotional and mental level. And not on a mechanics level.
There's nothing else that I would like to do before resting.
Okay.
Same.
All right. So.
Max is just gonna pass the fuck out. He's had a
That's
day.
not true. I'd like to go buy Max a new shirt.
Wait.
But Max is still passing the fuck out, so
That is
you're
perfectly
doing that by
fine.
yourself.
Yep.
Yes.
Buy Max a new shirt.
Yeah, you managed to find and buy Max a new shirt. The sizes are fairly large, but you'll at least manage to find something that you assume would fit his frame. Like it wouldn't just slip off just by after a light jostling, as it were. It costs you.
What is Hikan's passive perception again? 18. Okay. Well, he did perceive Max with few clothes on, so he could have a good impression of what would and what wouldn't fit.
Oh yeah, that's perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
but
It's just that the selection,
Gorons.
considering the fact that you're in a city
But
of Gorons,
Gorons.
is small.
Yeah. There is that.
I am much smaller than a Goron.
That is also true. Also
Like-
same.
Like, this shirt is going to be a very nice bedtime shirt when we get back to Hyrule Castle and get something that actually fits.
Yeah. Okay. So, you make your way to the inn, which if I look at my down notes real quick, is the Starview Inn.
Yes.
Yeah. You make your way back to that inn. A message is surprisingly quick. The message that has been passed on. The inn is already aware that you are to have a free night.
Tyrina just opened his door and yelled, and they're like, "All right."
You know those humans? The only ones in the town? Yeah, them.
They're that band of weirdos.
We have
You
an
know the
official
ones.
name, but we don't use it here.
Bad weirdos.
Was wanting to check on Maximilian. Since I'm planning on just going for transport via plants tomorrow, I want to see whether or not using heal today is any good.
Okay. You mean Maximus?
That's the one.
I was gonna say Maximilian's like fine. If a bit brain drained from learning from Uriel for quite a while.
It's also, his name is Maxwell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have
Max-
Max, which is Max Prime. Then we have. I thought Maxwell was red,
Maxwell
Yes.
is red, Maximus is white, and Max is blue.
and Maximilian.
Does not exist as far as we know.
Has not been
Maximilian
named.
in this hypothetical scenario would be Vermilion, but it's a different scenario entirely.
I'm glad Torquin's dead because I'm tired of his goddamn lazy ass naming.
Max named himself.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Torquin named it because he wasn't there. I apologize.
Well, Max at least named himself. I don't know about the other two.
You guys named Maxwell. You gave him his name on the way back from Zora's Domain.
Yeah, but Vermilion is also red, so like that's like the color red.
Yeah. Maximus is a mystery.
Okay.
It might have just been a coincidence.
No worries.
But yeah. So you head your way to the inn. Everybody kind of gets in a night. Did you want individual rooms this time around since the rent is free, or did you want to still have a community room like you did last time?
Music room is honestly fine.
Because he's so tired, Max just goes to the room we had last time, regardless of where anyone else goes.
Okay. So you all settle in for a restful night.
Wait, no. As I said, I was.
Oh
trying to...
yeah. So you
All
head
but
to
one.
Zayden, you head to the jail. And after explaining to the jailer, he's like, all right, and just kind of like stands up and leads you to the same pit.
You asked nicer than Max did, so.
Yeah.
Else pleases and
You asked it all.
Yeah.
There was even a thank you.
Yeah. You make your way to the pit in question. Maximus, who, unbeknownst to you, has not moved from the spot that he was in to begin with, is just kind of like looks up and stares at you. And as promised from before, if you'd like to give me a medicine check to see whether or not this works.
I'm going to cast guidance on myself first.
Yeah. Go guide yourself.
For a grand total of 27. I think
Nice.
every roll of mine's been a 27 so far.
Has.
Yeah.
No
What's up with
complaints to
that?
be made.
No.
Okay, so your plan
Curious
is
appreciation.
your plan is to use heal as in the hope that it functions in the same way that it does versus feeble mind and cures them of their current mental state.
Yeah, the hit restores any of his mind.
Okay.
Admittedly, as with before, it's not something I'm just going to do, it's something I ask him about. Even if he's in this state, it's...
Yeah. So from your medical examination, and your knowledge of how the spell works versus the physical body, you note that there is at least a 75% chance that it will work.
Ooh.
Oh.
In which case, Zidon will kneel down by the edge of the pit. I'm assuming, as you said, he's just being stared right at, so doesn't have to get attention. He will say to Maximus, I am at least somewhat aware of what has been physically done to your mind. I might be able to help if you wish for it. Do you think that is something you would want?
Maximus looks at you, and for probably the first time, there's a change in how he looks on, and he kind of like there's a semblance of something in his eyes that says he's confused by what you mean. Like he's not immediately objecting, and he's not immediately accepting. He just doesn't understand what you mean by fixing what's done to his mind.
The Fulquin, he inflicted a horrible medical procedure on you, likely to dull your mind, to dull your will and your emotions. I think you've already seen how many other people act, and maybe you're aware of how, in your own way, you're different to that. I won't force this on you if you're content as you are, but I suppose perhaps you're not even in this state able to tell what they've taken from you.
He finally says something. Says, I have ever known this. I woke up and have known follow orders. Follow talk with.
You're a bit too quiet, I can't hear you.
Sorry. It says, I have only ever known this. I've only ever known follow orders. I have only ever known follow Torquin.
Open's gone. You, no matter what, will have to find something else to know, to do.
Is that correct?
believe so.
If I must learn more things, then help me.
Gladly. And what's the range on heal?
He's
60
big.
feet.
Yeah.
So Zidon will caution him again, saying he is going to cast the magic now. It is not certain that it'll work, but you can always try again tomorrow. And I shall cast heal, which, given it's always been nature themed, but we're also in the middle of a volcano, will probably be more kind of sputtering of rocks, flickering of embers and flames gathering in the hole around him to centralize around his head. Damn it! Why does it not regain health?
It's
It's a set number.
I know. I'm just like, hey,
70D0.
70.
Wow.
Maybe you should switch that to 70D1.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Or maybe just 70.
Yeah.
No, 70D1. Oh, I can only do D2.
0D0
Oh,
plus 70
boo.
might work. But yeah.
1D0 plus.
Wait, why does a D0 work but a D1 does not?
I don't know.
Because a D1 is a DM only dice.
Yep.
It's the I say this happens dice.
Yeah. But yeah, the give me a 1D100. Aiming for above a 25. There you go.
Nice.
All right.
Yes, now.
So
All right.
there's
There we go.
there you go.
Yeah.
There's a brief moment of pause as the spell takes effect. The first thing that happens is that there is a kind of a wash of sensation that seems to sweep over him. And quite possibly what you are witnessing is someone who has been so bereft of emotion and so bereft of free thought and will in any capacity, suddenly getting all of that at once right now. There's a mix of emotions that kind of rack his face. And almost as if it was a bit of an overload, he hunches forward and pulls his knees closer to him, and then he just kind of like sits there and holds on as best he can in order to try and center himself in this environment. As far as you are aware, the spell has indeed worked. You have restored his mind somewhat. But from this...
Here or not?
Hmm?
Was the guard here as well?
Yeah, he watches you do it.
Okay. I will ask Maximus, would you like me to stay with you for the night?
There is a very shaky nod from him.
Okay. Do I need lowering to this hole? Is it that deep?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
If you're approaching as a person, then yes, you do.
I'm definitely just an ordinary human who can't get out of this hole on his own.
Oh no, you'll be fine. Like it's just a case of like, ordinarily it's like you would probably need to be lowered in, or there'd be a ladder or something that is just kind of provided for you to get in and out of the hole. But yeah.
Join him in the hole.
Okay. He just sits there, but is thankful to an extent that you have provided him with company while he goes through all of this. And he doesn't really move from that point for the rest of the night.
That's all right. I'll get out a blanket and sleep with him.
Mhm.
Or, France.
Yeah.
He's Hylian, isn't he?
He is Hylian. Well, I mean, he's a clone of Max, so it's... Yeah.
So sleep is a requirement.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't have a ring of expedient rest either, so he's kind of going to be there for 8 hours. Or he's going to be there for 6. Sleeping is 6 hours, and 2 hours worth of extra stuff is the full long rest. But yeah.
Gosh, imagine being able to have a full night's sleep after 6 hours.
Yeah, I know, right? The rest of you managed to find yourself in a appropriate bed, and you have as restful a sleep as you might do after such an ordeal. You wouldn't be blamed in any case if you wanted to take to have a bit of a lie-in, so to speak. You all wake up fully well rested, with all your hit points back and all your resources back. There's as you do wake up, Mara appears to have been among the first, and has already made her way to the dining area of the Starview Inn. What do each of you do on the morning?
Probably get in some good early breakfast. Unless Hikan specifically mentions wanting to make some treats himself.
He's taking it easy this morning.
Fair enough.
As you head into the dining area, Mara just kind of waves as she's reading a book. Says, "Oh, hey, good morning."
Good morning. Slept well?
Yeah, I think so. And you?
I've had a good night's rest, yes.
Hmm.
And a slight smile. I will get some breakfast in, and I'll check in on Nihilus. If he hasn't left already.
Yeah.
That seems like the type of thing he'd do.
Probably. What about the others? Are they okay?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. I'm just considering what the plan of action's going to be. If we're going to be seeing if we can find Sophidia, we probably should be heading south, though I don't know whether or not we should go across the mountain range, or that we should get to the foot of Death Mountain and then continue south.
I believe Zidon had an idea of traveling by means of magic, at least to a certain point. I also do want to try and check in on him with maybe getting another attempt at scrying.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be here and waiting for the others when they wake up.
All right.
After you've checked in with everybody, it might be worth everyone meeting back here in order to discuss what the next thing we should do, just so that we all know what the plan is.
Good thinking. I'll go do my rounds.
Okay. See you in a bit.
You too.
Yeah. So,
First thing, check in with Nihilus, unless there's others that want to do something else.
yeah. What would everybody else like to do this morning?
Hikan starts the morning with a soak because the hot spring's here and he's gonna use it at least once.
That's fair.
But after that, he's just gonna go down and probably wait with Mara, because not to be not, this sounds more callous than it is, but it's not his family that's here.
That's fine.
So
yeah. Okay. So you enjoy a nice long soak in the hot tub, or the hot spring rather, and it's just like with the morning presented to you, it's an honestly very peaceful environment to find yourself in. And you have the whole thing almost entirely to yourself for the majority of the morning. No one else, unless any of your other companions attempt to come and join you. No other guests within the Starview Inn decide to make use of the hot springs that morning. Yeah. Max, what are you doing this morning?
Think. Max is gonna continue his magic control sessions. And once he's done with that, he's gonna just go out to one of the edges of the tiers of the city and just sit down and wait.
Okay.
Watch everything happen.
Okay. Give me a what were we doing with last time we did this? Was it wisdom or charisma that we were doing?
Just charisma.
Do a charisma check for me, please.
14.
Yeah.
Not awful.
Not awful. Maybe a little harder to control than it was the last time you tried this, but then again, it has been quite a day yesterday, so
Yeah.
there's a lot that still may be on your mind as you go through this ordeal, or as you go through your training. But after some time of getting that control, you make your way to one of the tiers of the city and sit down and watch the day-to-day lives of the Gorons as they walk and or roll about their business, just carrying things in different directions, talking to each other. It's a very, very, very open and friendly environment. Like, more so than any other place that you've visited thus far in this journey.
Literally the most foreign environment Max could be in.
Yeah. Like, they do that whole kind of I was watching a thing about like queues at Disneyland, and the idea behind the snaking queue was that back then people were inclined to talk to complete strangers who were also in the line. Not so much anymore, but back in the olden
not be
days.
so much a thing.
Yeah. But yeah, there's this idea among the Goron. I mean, it's a fraternal patriarchy, so it's like they very almost literally view each other as brother, and as this one big happy family are just very inclined to talk to each other, to find out how their days are. It's just, maybe there's a part of you that wonders how anything kind of gets done, considering how often people stop and chat. But I don't know, there's a kind of companionship among strangers. Yeah, that is just it's very alien compared to the very busy streets of Hyrule Castle town, or the prim and proper nature that you might find in Zora's Domain,
or the before times.
I don't know why, but them being very friendly to each other made me think of Goron speaking with a Midwestern accent. Oh, how you doing there?
Oh, how you doing? maybe that's where I should have done. If I could reliably do a Midwestern accent, that's probably where I would have gone with it, rather than friggin' from
York.
Brooklyn. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is also a choice.
Yeah.
And a good one.
Other than that, he's just going to read some of his books.
Yeah. Okay. And then we finally have Zayden. It took Maximus a while to get to sleep, but he did eventually. You are there for quite some time as he gets his full rest in. And much like in much of a similar fashion to earlier days of Max, he does wake up with something of a start, though thankfully he doesn't respond with a gout of ice, at least in this instance. You're not sure whether or not that's not going to happen sometime later. It might be the fact that
in theory, a gout of ice is less destructive than a gout of lightning.
Yeah, you theorize that, like, it might be because all of Maximus's control was established before he had all of his emotion. That's not to mean that he can't be as volatile as an earlier Max was, but it's this is entirely new territory. Yeah, it's a starting point. There might be a factor that, honestly, with your passive insight, you could probably tell that it might be a case of, now that he's newly found emotion, and most of what he could do magic-wise was very logical, on-off binary sort of thinking, it may be possible that if he's in an emotional state, he would lack the control to even use his magic at all. So it's... yeah.
I had a very mean mental thought there of, so this is the boss when you fight them and boss when they're a player character.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, it's like, yeah.
That is mean.
But he wasn't a boss, he was a mini boss.
Yeah. I mean, he had his own theme music and everything, but yeah, it was more or less just a mini boss compared to Torquin. So, your morning with Maximus it's tense. There's a lot about him where he's still very jumpy. He's still very kind of retreat to a corner, sort of fight or flight instinct. And every new sensation around him, every expression of anything becomes difficult for him to adequately comprehend and react to appropriately. Instead of looking at you and just being like, what? He's going through the full gambit of emotions as he's trying to react appropriately to what is being presented to him. You can tell, though, that he's not going to be in any kind of present danger, and he's not going to be a present danger to others, at the very least. What do you plan on doing?
What were his actual crimes against?
Kidnapping the princess.
Yeah, kidnapping.
That's kind of a big one.
It's a big one.
Potentially murdering Tushika.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also not great.
So his 3 crimes, as far as you're aware, is
And they also been
kidnapping
involved in the
princess.
kidnapping of Nihilus.
Yeah, so kidnapping a princess, kidnapping of a government agent, double homicide, and conspiracy for regicide is basically his 4 crimes.
This is a more difficult rap sheet to deal with than a bit of pyromania.
Yeah.
Kidnapping of a
Some mild
royal.
arson.
Just a bit.
So kidnapping of a royal, double homicide, kidnapping of a government official, attempted regicide, and an undying dedication to the Pope are our 5 crimes.
Well, I think I need to get Renji to help, because he's good at dealing with government things.
I hear he's pretty persuasive these days.
You want to use your persuasion, right?
I mean, I can probably talk my way out of this.
I would like to ask the guard if he could send a message to get Renji to come here, because I'm going to stay with Maximus.
Okay. So the jailer will go out and pass a message along, which then eventually finds its way to Renji, who in the process has gone to the doctor's office to check up on his dad. You are correct, he is gone.
Figures.
Yeah, the doctor said that he woke up in the morning, felt that he could stand and walk, and not taking any chances, said that he was going to request a Goron guide back down the mountain, at least, before getting to Kakariko. He did say
that makes sense.
Yeah, he did say to pass on, to say that were it not for the fact that time is of the essence in this one, he would have stayed longer, but yeah, there is a thing
time
that
is
needs
always
doing.
of the essence.
Yeah.
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 When we walk through plants to Kakariko to greet him as he arrives.
So I'll be waiting there with our arms folded, like,
Brown. Okay, getting that message, I will hasten to the jail.
Okay. You find your way to the jail. As you get there, you are led to the pit in question. You see a now skittish Maximus sitting down with Zayden.
Noticing this change, I look over to Zayden. Is this
Zayden will look up at you, waggle his eyebrows a few times, and then he'll open telepathy.
okay? Good change or bad change? I say via telepathy.
Good, I think.
Okay.
He's got his own will back, but at the same time, he's effectively a child who's just learnt emotions.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
I mean, I know how I deal with that, and okay. So why am I here?
Well, you know his rap sheet. Trying to decide how best to go from here.
Oof. Okay, so we have a lot. There is there's the kidnapping of the princess, there's the kidnapping of my dad, there's the killing of the Sheikah, there is, being part of the conspiracy to kill the king, there's an undying dedication to the Pope, surprise and fear. What else?
what's a Pope?
Are you here?
No.
No.
Chaplain Orson Graves is a pope. No, I'm kidding.
No, he's a chaplain.
Larson Great isn't the Pope.
the Sage of
He's
Light.
specifically a chaplain.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the here and now, what are the Gorons aware of?
The For the here and now, the Gorons are aware of like they don't. That depends.
They think he might be involved with that giant pile of skeletons?
Yeah, they might be involved with giant pile of skeletons. They might also be inclined to believe that he was responsible for the 2 dead Sheikah. Probably because when Mara handed them over, she probably said something along the lines of "Be careful, he has ice magic." But they won't. They may not know immediately that he was involved in kidnapping the princess and being involved in the death of the king.
Now, I have to ask, because I thought of this, but I know Hikan wouldn't, because Hikan definitely doesn't memorize laws. But is there a defense or something in regards to Hylian law that, say, Renji would be familiar with if someone is not in their own faculties or is being used by someone else as a tool to commit crimes?
I was
Is there
thinking of some sort of coercion,
diminished capacity,
or diminished capacity, because it is both. Like, he's only being kept alive by Torquin because he's useful.
Renji, give me a history check. There's stuff that you may already know, but this will depend on how. Okay, so you don't recall.
I got a 3.
You don't recall too many details right now.
Okay.
But you believe that a case can be argued in court, but the gravity of which Maximus is involved in this entire endeavor means that already the cards are stacked against him. Not to mention the fact that you were there when Zelish was made aware of the death of the king. He was full willing to kill you in front of your father on the spot. And chances are, considering the relation he had with the king, he's not going to be in a merciful mindset.
Okay. So, what I am thinking, I look over at Zidon as I beam this into his head, or I don't know, he probes my head to see it. Anyway.
This one's basically just a link.
Yeah.
There is a magical space mind bridge that we are sitting on, chatting.
Yeah.
The psychic conference room.
Yeah. The cone of silence.
Everyone else was just staring intently at each other.
Yes.
We don't have to, but, you know.
Arms folded, legs folded, staring. So what I have in mind, and this should be... Okay. I think we should try and get a guard escort for him to go to Hyrule Castle Town. Along with that, a letter signed by all of us in the Storm's Eye. Unfortunately, Nihilus isn't here anymore. That would have lent more weight to everything. That we have found a participant in the conspiracy to kill the previous king, but that due to diminished capacity and the fact that he was doing everything under the coercion of a powerful mage, that he should not be brought before a trial or be given any punishment before a proper and full investigation and full... what's the word? Before the full conspiracy can be brought to light. We're not there yet. Because sending him to Hyrule Castletown in any other way, either to disguise and conceal his identity, is us participating in the conspiracy as well. And sending him there without any explanation beyond he's part of the conspiracy is likely to get him in jail for life or executed on the spot.
I'd say with your give me an insight check as well, Renji.
Ooh. Please do something right. Okay, that's good. That is... Yep.
That's 19.
In the 85th percentile.
Yeah.
19.
Yeah. So one thing that comes to mind is, yeah, you are correct. He has to go back to Hyrule Castletown. Because if he stays here, that just sours diplomatic relations between the Gorons and the Hylians, and that's not good. It's one of those things where, as well, considering his new emotional state, he's gonna need more than an armed escort. He's gonna need something equivalent to a counselor.
Yeah.
He will probably, because that's the thing as well. They'll want him anyway, even if they don't arrest and try him, is simply because they have to see whether or not, even if he's no longer in his diminished mental capacity, he may remember things. And they'll want to ask questions. In any other situation, you are correct. The core situation is that if there is going to be a trial of any capacity, right now, unless Zelish has cooled off to an extent, which the last time you spoke to him, nah.
Didn't seem that way, nope.
No.
I'm glad I didn't see him face to face, because otherwise, ooh.
Yeah. If there's going to be a trial, if there's going to be a trial where he's tried fairly, Zelish cannot be involved. Which is difficult considering
he's the Grandmaster of the Sheikah.
He's Grandmaster of the Sheikah and was the King's bodyguard as well. It's just, yeah. So, however you word it, you'd have to, if you're going to send a message, there's also the fact that for the most part, it's a very circuitous route, comparatively speaking, because for you guys, you more or less just went straight through Kakariko. Like, you went outside and around and everything, but you had the luxury of being within closer proximity to Kakariko. A normal contingent of guards is not going to be too well welcomed by comparison, and they might have to go a longer route in order to avoid Kakariko. So that's going to take time. The question is, how long are you willing to stay here for? Depending on most circumstances. Are you willing to leave Maximus alone in this mental state in order to get this contingent of guards and this person who's going to be taking care of them emotionally to get here, and then leave with Maximus for you to continue doing whatever it is you're doing?
Why are you making me care for a clone of another player character?
Because that's my job. I'm meant to make you all care about these people in this world, and then I can take them away.
Also, just because they're a clone, it doesn't mean they don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. That's what Articulate D just did. Ah. Okay. I will relay all of these considerations to Zayden. It is a tricky situation we find ourselves in to want to try and to eat our cake and have it too. And by cake, I mean Maximus, and by eat, I mean keep him alive.
For the most part, would you guys like another 2 weeks to think about it?
Possibly.
I have ideas.
Okay.
I have a
So
different
does-
idea I'm going to send you in the chat right now.
Okay. So while he's working on the different idea, we have a means to transport ourselves directly into Castletown.
That is
Once we get
You're
there.
right.
Additionally, we have I believe, do we have a means to communicate with Impa? Because I don't remember if one of the sending stones that we end up having.
We had one for Nihilus and one for ourselves.
Yeah. We didn't
That's-
have one to go directly to Hyrule Castletown.
Do any of
That
you have the
was- that
sending
was-
spell?
Yes,
Oh.
I believe Sidon can have it.
Oh yes, scrying.
I don't know.
That is actually a good idea because that would make things easier
If
maybe
not,
with Princess
there might
Sophia.
be. If not, there might be someone in town who has a scroll of sending that we could use.
Sending is a 3rd level evocation spell. Learned by
Uriel,
bards,
okay,
clerics,
Uriel
and
has it.
wizards.
Druids do not have sending.
Oh,
So we could get a sending scroll. This is a wizard spell.
possibly.
We could just check if
We
one is
we
in
might
town.
we might want to bother Uriel for maybe like an unlinked sending stone.
You want a phone?
No, I want a megaphone.
Here's another idea. If we're looking for people before we leave Goron City, if something happens in Castletown and they need to, say, rally the troops, how would the castle communicate with Darunia, or vice versa? See if they've got a magic way to do it. And Darunia does owe us a favor.
Good thinking.
Okay. Well, we shall leave these potential plans in action for next time, since it's rather late. So, thank you everybody for watching / listening. This has been Articulate T with Hyrule Chronicles: The Legend of Zelda D&D 5th Edition campaign, episode 86. With me as always, I have had Renji Vox being played by the Netherlad.
I am fine. Absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with Renji at all.
I have had Hikan Sio being played by Avrdal.
The struggles of playing a intelligence 7 character as at least intelligence 10 person.
I've had Zayden Shari being played by Robo Pirate.
Well, I was worried about Renji, but if you're fine, I guess you're fine.
And I have had Max being played by Keistrith.
I am also fine.
You hear that? We're fine. That's the episode title. We're fine.
We're fine.
Fine. Full
It's
stop.
fine.
Honest.
Fine. ... Honest, guys.
Yeah. Oh dear. Alright. See you guys next time. Take care now. Bye bye.